If there's nothing, we'll move forward with item 4, miscellaneous. An introduction of the second reading and consideration of ordinance number 2008-201 entitled An Ordinance Adding a Stop Sign on State Street at Leonard Street. John, would you like to talk to us about that?
Just like I said in the past, the prior chief came to me with a complaint of speeding through there. Just based on his 20 years as chief, that's why I bring it in front of the council on his opinion. A request for it was the main.
Okay, what is your opinion?
I believe all four-way in town should have a yield and stop sign. You know, especially last month, we've been 3, I think, accidents this last month on 4 ways that are unmarked. 2 with unmarked, 1 marked. So I think I'm a big believer in all of them should be some kind of marked. Just the way people shoot around and all kids get walking around town.
Council, do you have anything to ask or add, or?
No, I agree with John.
Carrie, did you have something you wanted to address?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the council is fully aware of the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a federal law adopted by the state for all road managers nationwide. It's the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It defines the standards used by road managers nationwide to install and maintain traffic control devices on all streets and highways. Every street in Sac City. This manual is not available in printed form anymore. It's only on the internet, and I printed out the part that pertains to stop signs. But I'm just going to read what I think is specific to this situation, because there is no traffic at that intersection. I go through that intersection several times a day. Live up here. My wife lives with my mother-in-law over 2 blocks away from that. We go through that intersection, each of us separately, several times a day. In 3 years, before I get into this, in 3 years, I've met 2 vehicles at that intersection. The first was 2 years ago. They had the right-of-way. I gave them the right-of-way. The second was last week. I had the right-of-way. The other person gave me the right-of-way. 2 times in 3 years of several times a day. There's just no traffic at that intersection. Anyway, this manual contains the basic principles that govern the design and use of traffic control devices for all streets and highways open to public travel, regardless of the type or class of the public agency having jurisdiction. To be effective, a traffic control device should meet 5 basic requirements. To fulfill a need, there has to be a need. To command attention, to convey a clear, simple meaning, to command respect from road users, and to give adequate time for proper response. A standard device used where it is not appropriate is as objectionable as a non-standard device. In fact, this might be worse, because such misuse might result in disrespect at those locations where the device is needed and appropriate. This is particularly stop sign applications. Stop signs should be used if engineering judgment indicates one of the more following conditions exist. An intersection of a less important road with a main road where application of normal right-of-way rule would not be expected to provide reasonable compliance with the law. Well, there's no major road there. A street entering a through highway or a through street. There is no through street there. An unsignalized intersection with a in a signalized area. It's not a signalized area. Should be used if there are high speeds, restricted view, or crash records indicate a need for control at a stop sign. Ever been a crash at that intersection?
Not to my knowledge.
Guidance. Stop signs should not be used for speed control. He said the reason he wants a stop sign is because he saw someone speeding through the intersection. It's not to be used for speed control. Stop signs should be installed in a manner that minimizes the number of vehicles having to stop. At intersections where a full stop is not necessary at all times, consideration should be given to using a less restrictive device such as a yield sign. There's a lot more, but pertaining to yield signs and other things. But I just want to make sure the council is aware that there are federal law, state law that govern signage on city streets, and I'd like to think that we would comply with that federal law and state law.
Well, I want to appreciate you bringing this up to me first, because it gave me an opportunity to pull the information out. I did pull out the mud cut, and one of the things that I did spend some ample amount of time researching was that a good portion of the engineering study requirements are actually what they define, of course, as guidance. And they defined guidance under their definitions as a statement of recommended but not mandatory practice. And then, of course, most of the information stating towards, and in fact, even their discussion on why not to use it is also guidance under the guidance subject. So Carrie is very much right. The MUTCD does state a lot of concern about how you use stop signs, but all of the language as far as particulars is either under the form of guidance or options. It is not found under requirements of the provision. I spent a lot of time working on this issue to make sure that we had a clear understanding of what our allowances were under this provision. It was adopted by the state of Iowa in 2003 without any adaptations from the federal approval, and it is still in place as it was provided in 2003 with only additions as was provided by the federal government.
So what you're telling us is that we have federal rules and guidelines, but part of the guidelines are kind of local.
The guideline basically states that the way it is worded is if you decided to put a stop sign there, it is not discretion. It's at your discretion.
It's at our discretion.
But if you read, as Carrie has stated, through some of their guidance, some of the guidance, the non-mandatory guidance that they have put forth, suggests that it may or may not meet all of those requirements. That's for you to decide whether or not it meets some of the guidances that they suggest.
And my next question is, do we have to have 3 readings on this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
And it's got to pass all 3 of them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's one more reading after this?
That is correct.
So if I want to go look at it?
Yeah, and I have copies of all the pertaining portions of the code with me, along with copies of the statewide urban design and specification 13A-1, which also is the other governing body activity to this from the Department of Transportation.
So let's read that it'll be on State Street, not on, if I'm going on State Street, there should be a stop sign there.
The statement under MUTCD suggests, and once again, this isn't a requirement, but it suggests that if you are going to put stop signs up, that those stop signs be put on the side that is of least amount of usage. So, based upon that argument,
the stop sign will be on State Street. Yeah. Okay, I'll look at that.
Carrie, are you opposed to that stop sign being there?
Yes, there's no need for it. There's no traffic there.
I have
There's absolutely no
people
traffic.
that approach me with young children over in that area. They're concerned with children being over there. I mean,
I see a child in one yard on that corner. I've always seen adults out there with that child.
Otherwise, it's old people.
Yeah, it's almost all.
I just for
Three
somebody
right there have
that
kids as well.
I've only
Hedbergs have
the
kids.
Hedbergs are the ones that
Dee Bobble moved there, she has kids, and then John Zimmerman has his grandkids there all the time.
I've never seen that grandchild. Never, ever
I've
seen
seen a lot of
that.
kids there. I guess
You
that's
never see them anywhere beyond the sidewalk, though. I travel Leonard 8-10 times
Well,
a day
yeah, I'm not
going
saying
through
they're in the
there.
street, yeah.
You know, and there's always adults out with those children. They're like 2 and 3 years old.
But if you travel under, do you want the stop sign?
I know it doesn't affect me, except it just seems foolish to put something up that isn't needed.